We talked a lot about electric cars. Behind me, I have the Tesla Model 3 dual motor, and we're gonna be testing it and doing a long-term review in winter driving conditions. You can see I'm bundled up. It's negative 29 degrees Celsius here. We're in Deerhurst Resort in Ontario, and it's honestly bone chilling. We have the Tesla Model 3 here behind me, the dual motor edition. And really, I talked about this in other videos. I wanna get into electric cars, but the reality is, in winter conditions, how does it actually stack up in terms of range and performance? And how am I gonna feel bringing this up here for a long road trip? We're gonna be talking about that, plus everything else in winter conditions driving. This is equipped with good winter tires, so I'm actually gonna know how this does in terms of going out on a road trip and if I can actually have some fun out here while we have all this snow. We talked about the Tesla Model 3. I did a review of this car already. I'll make sure I link it in the card above. That was specifically the Tesla Model 3 long range rear wheel drive. You know, I love the car. I love the interior. It's a bit plain, simplistic, I'll say. Maybe the materials aren't as nice, but there's a reason why people love this car. I do love the minimalist design. I love the big screen here with all of the controls. We're gonna be talking about that and more, but really, the important thing is here, in a Canadian winter, can this actually stand up to these harsh conditions? Can it be reliable? Can I count on it to really do everything I need to do with my car? That's the thing. This is, I know, built in California, but will it actually handle Ontario's Ontario, not California's Ontario? It is negative 29 degrees here, and this is why I wanted to do this test, because Canadian winters are really bad on these batteries. And we lost 20% battery overnight on this Tesla Model 3, and this is the performance dual motor version. So we're here, we're just waiting actually right now for a charger to actually open. But I'm kind of shocked, 20% degradation like just overnight. I know these are like extremely cold conditions, but I'm still a little bit shocked. And again, that's the range anxiety that's happening on this dual motor. And this is a 2018 Tesla Model 3. It's had a bit of battery degradation already. I'd say maybe like 25% in terms of the total battery. But yeah, it's quite shocking. Okay, so we're inside now. Somebody left the charging station. We plugged it in. But like, again, this is pure range anxiety. What you don't want to see, your battery, your car dies from 20% to 0 just overnight. I know these are like remarkably cold temperatures. Again, negative 29 degrees in the low, but in Canada, you're gonna get that temperature a lot, right? And unfortunately here, every, like 6 months of the year, you're gonna be experiencing those temperatures. So this is kind of what you have to deal with. You know, I thought we were about to go push the car up a hill to go get to a charging station, and then the actual outlet in front of our lodge wasn't working. So it's these type of things that make you like consider, should I get an electric car? What is the actual range in the winter conditions? Not EPA estimated in California, but what does it actually look like in cold weather? And they should probably do testing around that until batteries get better with retaining their charge during the winter. Yeah, it's just a little bit weird, a little bit hard. Honestly, it's a lot of fun. In the winter, taking this out is actually a joy. You can see in some of these videos, we gave it a little bit of a rip. With all that torque, it's actually really fun in the winter time. It's doing well. You know, one thing I will say coming in for somebody that's looking for this for any winter driving, these handles often freeze over, and I don't like the little gymnastics that you have to do with your hand. You know, that's one thing there. I noticed that the windows are freezing a little bit and the airflow is not actually getting to them. So a few minor things around the car, but otherwise, this thing with winter tires is holding its own in terms of drivability. I feel secure, I feel planted. There's so much power, so much torque. It's honestly super fun to drive in the winter. So I'll show you what some fun actually looks like. We'll go ahead and like rip it around a little bit. But you know, if you're thinking, if I go electric, will I lose all the fun of an internal combustion engine? I'd have to say you're losing the sound, but I don't think you're actually losing the fun. So let's go ahead, have a little bit more fun with this. And then we'll go ahead and talk about the last and final thing, which is, would I actually buy this car today? Who says you can't have fun in a Tesla? I don't know. Look, there's just so much torque. Look at this. You just go sliding and slipping. It's just, look at this. Look at this. This is actually nuts. It's just gobbles of torque. You don't even know what to do with it. Woo! So much power. Just crazy power. Just crazy power. oodles of power. This is definitely fun. Wow, it just lets go. Like the power, the instant torque, unbelievable. Look at that, just a little bit and you're loose. Oh, this is crazy. And that's why, wow, electric cars are really fun. And that's why I think they're actually gonna probably take over the used car and new car market probably by 2030 is my guess. But really, when I look at this car, I did this review already, loved it. I think it's great. The one problem was it's just range anxiety in the battery. Now, here's the reality. Already tested this car previously, the 2012 or the 2012 Tesla Model 3 long range, and that was great, and we did some short-term testing. While the range was claimed at 460 kilometers, we knew that that was a lot less. So this car here is about 5 years old. It's a 2018 model, and now we're looking at something with 210,000 kilometers on this car, and we're gonna see what type of actual battery performance we're gonna get. Number one, the first thing that we noticed is degradation from the start in terms of its usable life is down about 25%. So Tesla claims at 320,000 kilometers, you should have only lost 10% battery in terms of its life. But in this example, we've lost 25%, which is actually quite significant, especially because the Teslas earlier on didn't have the range that they do today. And for these Canadian climates, it's been pretty detrimental. So we came from Oakville, Ontario to Deerhurst. It was about 210 kilometers. We actually had to charge this twice at a Tesla supercharger network. That is a lot. Like it took us about 5 hours to finally actually get here, and normally would have taken us 2.5 hours because we had to plan these stops at the supercharger networks. And the one supercharger network that we went to was full, and we had to wait 15 minutes for another one to actually open up. So these type of things scare me still when I'm looking to get an electric car. Now this model, an example, and you know the conditions that we're actually driving in today, it's negative 29 degrees Celsius. It's extremely, extremely cold. So this is probably not, 90% of the time that you're driving, but you should expect, especially if you're living in a winter climate, you're gonna come towards these conditions. And do you wanna feel like you're gonna be potentially stranded with your car? Like, I don't know if you wanna feel that. I know I don't wanna feel that, but there's a lot of benefits to this car. Again, instant acceleration, instant torque, right? You don't get that with an internal combustion engine. My Audi R8 does not provide that type of performance, and that's a quote-unquote supercar. So lots of great things about this, but it just kind of sucks that you can't actually trust it long-term in these colder conditions. And I still think, battery technology is still developing. I think on honestly 2 to 3 years, you'll see better technologies and batteries hopefully remedy this solution. You guys saw my review in the Hyundai Ioniq 5, and that charges in 15 minutes from 20 to 80% with those level 3 class chargers, the 350 kilowatt chargers. So is Tesla going to come out with something like that, upgrade their supercharger network? Quite possibly, but I think a little bit still. The problem is for me to buy a Tesla or any electric car today, considering in Canada, winter's really 6 months of the year, I'm always going to be fighting with range anxiety, looking for superchargers all the time. To me, it's not really acceptable for a 220 kilometer trip to be charging twice on the way there. Now, again, this isn't a comment on the newer Teslas. This is more of you've owned your Tesla for 3, 4, 5 years. This is actually the performance you should be able to expect in the winter, right? So it's tough. And I think that's why you're not going to see this transition, especially in places with inclement climate. You're not going to see the internal combustion engine just phase away like you may see in the States, in sunnier states, or in better climate conditions. But I still think a lot of the things that I love about this car are here, right? The performance. I actually really like the display. It's a little bit weird at nighttime not having everything in front of you in your eyes, and you want to see a lot of that information. It's here. It's a little bit of a shift. I think that's just an adjustment thing. There's not much ambient lighting, again, in the cabin. And then the other thing in the cabin is it is quite pedestrian. I understand that this is a baseline Tesla, but the materials are of lower quality compared to any of the main German or even Japanese competitors. So I thought I would also bring that up. But Tesla basically paved the way for electric cars. I don't think any of the car manufacturers would have done the investments into internal or into electric engines if it wasn't for Tesla pushing the envelope as well. So hats off to them for doing this. But I think Tesla has a lot of competition now, right? F-150 Lightning, Hyundai Ioniq 5, the Kia offering, the Audi e-tron, lots more competitions coming up. The Lexus, the RZ450 is coming out next year, which I also want to check out. Hopefully we'll find out more information about that come the spring. So there's a lot of options out there, especially for me, since, you know, I'm looking at potentially getting one of these cars one day. But do I want to run into these issues, especially if it's not my fun weekend car, but it's my daily driver? And you guys know I love my Lexus IS250, and that thing has about 350,000 kilometers. You know, it's not as fast as this car, but it's reliable. I know I could drive that thing to Vancouver and not have a single problem with it. I love that car. Taking this to Vancouver, I just need to think about a lot of P breaks in between to get there. And I don't know if I want to do that. So I think in a couple years, battery technology is going to continue to improve. We saw the Mercedes EQS concept claiming 1,000 kilometers of range. I think everyone's going to get this battery technology in a couple years. And then we're actually going to see how it's going to fare in winter conditions. I think if you can deliver a car that gives you 500 kilometers of steady, reliable performance and range in winter conditions, I think then that's when you'll actually get mass adoption into these. Until then, I still think a lot of people are going to be questioning if they should buy something like this, because the reality is 6 months of the time, you know, he's going to be like this, full of snow, freezing to the point where your toes are going to fall off. But again, if you want performance, I love doing that. That just doesn't get old. Then this is kind of the car that you want. So one of the things I love about this car is the mobile app. I think it's really, really strong. And honestly, it makes a lot of the day-to-day usage of this car really convenient. You know, a few examples that I'll show you. Number one is when you go into the mobile app, you have all of your controls here. So number one, I can see on the left-hand side what percent battery I'm at. I can see if the car is unlocked or locked. I can go ahead and control the fan speed. I can also go ahead and pop open the trunk. So you have all of these controls here. The phone also acts as your key. So all you have to do is walk up to the car. Once you walk up to the car, it'll unlock, you can get in. And the same thing as when you walk away from the car, it'll go ahead and lock the car for you. So the fact that it has all of this built into the app, I think is really critical. I love that. So you can see here, I can go into my controls. I can open my hood. I can open the trunk. I can open the doors. I can also have full controls over venting, starting, honking, flashing. I have all of this here simply on the mobile app. I love the climate controls because in the winter, these Canadian winters are really, really tough. The fact that you can preheat the car, get it nice and warm, so you're not freezing your butt off for the first 10 minutes like you normally are with any other car. So you can go ahead, adjust the temperature, you know, check out the heated seat. So I can go ahead, modify how much heating I want on each seat. And I get all of this here on the mobile app, which I think is really strong. Also gives you access to the location, the summon capability, which is also really cool. I'm going to be doing a separate video on the summon capability. We're going to do a real test at Costco, see how that actually works. But that's a really cool feature. You get a schedule as well. You can go ahead and schedule preconditioning of your car, schedule charging, schedule departures. All of this stuff is here for you to go ahead and access. And again, the mobile app, by the way, on iPhone and iOS, really strong, very quick, fast loading. You can see here that it's connected to my iPhone in terms of the security. You got to go ahead and here access charge statistics, see when it was last charged, how often you're charging at home versus the supercharger network, the average cost. You have all of these details here. If I go back, you can see as well your upgrades. So you can go ahead and do some upgrades if you'd like, software upgrades, accessory upgrades. It's a great upsell by Tesla. They have all of this here. And again, this car has the full self-driving capability, which is why it has the summon feature and the navigate on autopilot, which I find really, really amazing and really strong for those highway commutes. Finally, your service. So again, you can request service. What's amazing about Tesla is that they will come to you and service the car for the majority of the items that they can service at your home. So I find this really valuable. And then roadside assistance here as well. So you get to see what kind of problem you may be having, whether it's a flat tire, the car won't drive, charging, or whatever else it might be. You have all of that here. So the app, again, really strong. You see this is a Tesla Model 3 dual motor, 214,000 kilometers on this car. So this is why we wanted to do this test on a car that's actually seen mileage and range significantly. And, you know, we're doing that test today. But the mobile app, one of the best mobile app experiences from a car that I've personally ever used. I really enjoy it. I think they've done a bang up job. And honestly, this is part of why Tesla's differentiated. It's for the technology in the car and on your mobile device. A lot of technology, lots of good stuff. I'm obviously happy. I can't wait until the revision of this car. Then we will actually see what type of technologies will trickle down from their Model X, which they're introducing. It's coming out, it's been delayed, but we'll find out more. I still think they have a lot to do. Competition's heating up. We'll see what happens, but really, look at this. This is what you get an electric car for. The regen braking, brakes are good. What I will say, 210,000 kilometers, the car still feels very tight and taut. You know, there's a little bit of like weird panel issues that a lot of early Teslas had that is on this example, but quite honestly, for 210,000 kilometers, it's driving really, really well. And that's a lot of kilometers for a car that's maybe 4 or 5 years old, but it does drive really well. The display was completely bright during the nighttime. You could see everything. Very responsive, very quick to operate. There's a lot you can do here, play video games, all of this stuff. I do wish, like on the Ioniq 5, your main controls around temperature or seating adjustments or heated seats or anything like that, I wish they were more accessible with, you know, analog dials, but you don't have that here, obviously, with the full touchscreen display. I would prefer that. I think that's the right mix between analog and touch. Having everything on touch is a little bit cumbersome, especially when maybe some of the controls are hidden and you have to go into menus to actually get them. So that's the only other thing to talk about for that aspect. Honestly, 0 to 60, I'm pretty sure it'd be a very close race between this and my 2008 Audi R8. And that shows you like how much performance is coming out of these electric engines and just that instant torque. And also the fact, by the way, I've mentioned this previously, there's basically no maintenance on these cars other than the consumables. So really, you just have your tires, your brakes, and that's really it. Suspension over time, yes, but look at this. The suspension's actually, there's no bottoming out, 210,000 kilometers, so the suspension's still holding up really, really well. You know, you have the two controls here on the steering wheel. It's hard to, you know, not like this car. It's a car that's very futuristic. I think definitely they pushed the class ahead. Now the manufacturers are catching up, but they're catching up quite quickly. And it's just a thing with reliability that I think an electric car really helps save you money. And we're not even talking about the gas, which in Canada, by the way, for premium gasoline today, which is what I'm paying for my 2009 Lexus IS 250, paying $1.79 Canadian a liter for premium fuel, which is just insane. It's about $110 now, $120 to fill up that car, and that's going to get me 500 kilometers, where this, if you're charging it at home, is going to cost you between $4 to $5 with the charger installed in your garage. So quite a lot of savings in terms of just maintenance and gas. And gas, you know, I don't know, obviously it's fluctuating up and down all the time, but you know, as we wean off of that and that becomes a scarce resource, that'll continue to climb up. So, you know, electric cars are the future, and that's why I'm personally, my next car is going to be electric. It's just a matter of when. When do I want to take that step? When are these cars ready to handle these type of conditions? And I think today they're not there, but I think in 2 to 3 years, they're going to be there. And I think that's when you're going to see tons of adoption for these cars going forward, and not just the Tesla, all of the other competitors and the manufacturers coming out with their EV offerings. And even Volkswagen said most of their EV offerings are going to be completely changing their lineup, and they're not going to have any internal combustion engine cars anymore, which again is really good. You know, Tesla, and which I haven't talked about, the service, they also come to you for the servicing. You have everything in terms of the firmware updates coming in through the app. So again, it's a great experience. And then the last thing, especially important when we're talking during the pandemic, is actually buying these things. So with Tesla, you go directly to the manufacturer and you can buy the car at the stated MSRP. If I want to go right now, try to buy an F-150 Lightning, dealers are marking them up $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. The Ioniq 5 marking up $5,000, $10,000. So you're not actually paying that stated MSRP like the F-150 Lightning's claiming $39,000 to start. That's not actually true. No consumer can actually go buy it at that price. They're roughly starting at $40,000 to $50,000 or $45,000 to $50,000. Now, if you do find a dealer that isn't marking it up, God bless their soul, you should buy from them. But I made a previous video. I don't support paying these dealer markups, so I would never do it, and I don't think you should either. But overall, really love this car. Let's go ahead and just take a look on the outside again. I want to talk about the exterior, but really, driving this car is a joy. The performance is there. I love the functionality on the inside, all of the technology built in. I still think Tesla is ahead of the game in terms of tech, and their tech came out in 2018 for the most part, so hats off to them. The other thing is, if you're thinking about this being a daily driver, does it have enough trunk space? Well, quite honestly, I feel like it does. So you put all of your stuff in here. The back seats actually fold down, so we're able to fit, you could fit 2, 3, 4 snowboards in there with those back seats folded. So it's actually decently sized in terms of trunk space. So I actually think this is better than my IS250 in terms of the ability to put a lot of big stuff in there. The IS50 is just a bit smaller than this car, so I really do appreciate that. Is this car something I would buy? That's always the big question. I don't think today. I think this car, realistically, is something I would consider buying, or any electric car, in just, let's say, 2 more years. 2 more years of advancement, get a little bit more of that range built in, have better technologies to protect against the cold, then I think you have something that everyone's gonna want. I hope you guys found this video helpful. Again, if you haven't, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate the support. Give this video a like, it helps with the algorithm. And if you have any questions, leave them down in the comment box below. I want to give a big shout out to one of my subscribers who lent me this car to go ahead and do this test drive, because he knows I was looking at these electric cars and debating whether it's the time to jump in. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. But it's been a joy. It's been a blast. And like any good friend would do, when you borrow somebody's car, you're going to return it detailed and clean. So we're going to get this dirty, dirty Tesla cleaned up as well. I'll catch you guys in the next video.